This is history summarized for all you victims of brain rot with zero attention spans due to social media overdose. And today we are talking about the causes which led to the French Revolution. Let's wrap it all under 5 minutes. For starters, pre-revolution France was just the most divided society you could imagine, with King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette living the literal dream in Versailles. And on the other hand, everyone else was broke and starving. There was also an economic crisis already underway. The French economy was basically that coworker who always says they got money but can never pay for dinner. And their habit of fighting every war they could get their hands on further drained their coffers. The entire country was basically sitting on one giant powder keg waiting for someone to push them over the edge. And that push did come in the form of the American Revolution. And helping people on the other side of the globe overthrow their British overlords turned out to be more expensive than previously thought for the already depressed French economic system. But hey, at least the British suffered more. The victory was for the Americans, the loss of territory was for the British, and the economic catastrophe fell upon the French. So, King Louis tries to fix this by raising taxes. But who's paying? Definitely not the nobles or the clergy. Nope, it's the common people who could already barely afford bread. And while we're on the subject of bread, let's discuss the food crisis. There were years of terrible harvests and the price of bread skyrocketed. It was like playing the world's least fun game of, will we starve this week or not? And when you mix hungry peasants with an incompetent monarchy, you get a revolution. Basically, the food crisis was like the ultimate cherry on top of the misery sundae that was pre-revolutionary France. Also, there's this whole pre-revolution social structure that needs to be talked about. France had this fun little system called the three estates. The first estate was the clergy, the second estate was the nobility, and the third estate, that was everybody else. The farmers, the merchants, and the middle class, about 98% of the population. And wonder of wonders, the first two estates paid no taxes, so it all always came crashing down on the third estate. And now with the rising taxes, increased cost of living, and general starvation, things weren't looking too hot for the one class that was now supposed to pay up for the economic mismanagement by their superiors. Another thing that suddenly became all the rage back then was an 18th century version of TED Talk, the Enlightenment. Philosophers like Voltaire and Rousseau were out here saying crazy things like, maybe people should have rights, and what if we questioned authority? The idea of equality, it was spreading like wildfire. And the third estate was listening. Finally, we have King Louis XVI, who was about as useful in a crisis as a screen door on a submarine. He was indecisive, out of touch, and just did not have that dog in him. And Marie Antoinette, that Kardashian of her time, minus the Instagram followers? Don't make me laugh. The final spark came when King Louis called a meeting of the Estates General in 1789 to deal with the money problem, and the third estate wanted to have a bigger say in things. Their request was promptly turned down by the others who wanted to preserve their privileges, and so the third estate decided to form their own National Assembly and declared, we'll make the rules now. And that, my friends, was the beginning of the French Revolution. Stay tuned for part 2 where things really heat up. Spoiler alert, it involves guillotines, chaos, and a lot of angry mobs. Subscribe to learn more about the wildest moments in history.